And if there are some people outside, if you could request them to. After some very exciting presentations and beautiful videos and imagery, it's time for us to look at what the jewelry business has to share. So welcome once again to the Investor Day here. And the last time we met was about 2 years ago, and I remember sharing with you that, we had taken a goal for FY23 of a 30% growth over FY22 and a 2.5x on FY22 to FY27. Happy to share that we have been able to achieve those goals and well on course for the FY27 numbers as well. But what's more and what's new, we have seen, amidst significant competitive intensity and action, about which I'll cover a little later, a very, very good CAGR in the last 5 years, a 19% CAGR, and even the studded revenue has been at 18%. The studded ratio has marginally dipped, but that's because there's been growth in both the gold and the studded businesses, and we are beginning to see them as two businesses, not just one business or not just a ratio. We are also very proud to report healthy growth in volumes, and the way we measure volumes, as we've shared, is on buyers. There's been a 13% CAGR. These numbers are excluding CaratLane right now. With CaratLane, the numbers go up a couple of percentage points. Same-store growth has also been pretty good. I don't have a CAGR on same-store growth, but in the last year, we had about a 15% CAGR growth on Tanishq, which also augurs very well. In terms of the market and the way our market share has been in the last 5 years, we were around the 4.5% of the market. This is again excluding CaratLane figures for now. And that has nearly doubled over the last 5 years. The market itself has grown. Most of the market has grown on the back of gold price increase and some amount of action on the studded play. Our share gain strategy has worked. All the engines of growth have fired. And despite the very growing and intense competitive activity from existing and new players, we have stayed the course. We had said we'll try to gain by 1% market share year on year, and that's a progress that we've been making and reporting. You all are all familiar with the growth engines. I think Venkat has already established that over the several years. We added a couple newer ones, which is core and digital. Even these have progressed very well. All the engines have fired pretty well. In fact, everything is on plan or better than plan. Nothing is below plan. Even, something like store expansion or high-value studded. High-value studded, interestingly, and Solid as I've clubbed them, they've seen a fluctuation. The initial couple of years from FY19 through COVID saw some stress, but last 3 years we've been seeing a fantastic growth there as well. Having said that, the definitions of high-value studded in my mind are changing. We used to always say 2 lakh plus, but now I think the high values should be 5 lakh plus. But to stay consistent with what we have shared in the past, we've kind of retained that definition here. We are certainly seeing even more traction in the 5 lakh plus and 10 lakh plus in line with the premiumization of the market. A lot of good work has happened in regional markets, and I've clubbed wedding and regional, as you see, because there's a high correlation. The markets where we have gone intense in terms of regionalization, whether it is Tamil Nadu, whether it is Andhra Pradesh, whether it is West Bengal, or some of the Bharat markets, which are parts of the Hindi belt, we have seen a very high correlation with the wedding contributions also being very high there. And that, in turn, indicates that we need to go much, much more local if you want to grow the market share in those categories. On digital, a lot of work has happened during COVID and post-COVID. digital influence, omni, phygital, whichever way you want to call it. A lot of learning from CaratLane, which we've integrated into the Tanishq ecosystem. And of course, customers themselves have kind of adopted digital like how. So it's been huge. I mean, even giving a multiple on this is meaningless. It's just something which we have seen a massive increase. And I think as of last year, it's close to 10% of our contribution now. It used to be next to nothing. What has worked well? These are some of the learnings over the last few years that we have been engaged on. On the retail side, besides expansion, we've added quite a few stores, about 250 Tanishq and Mia stores and about 175 CaratLane stores in the last 3 years. But we've also transformed, to be precise, 89 older stores up till FY24 in 2 years itself. And I'll walk you through some of that in terms of images. And the transformation is both in size, impact, capacity, and customer experience. As I mentioned, we see gold and studded as two segments. And you can win in both. And just because something is growing faster or something is growing relatively slower, the ratio might impact. And that's why you saw the 30% and 29% studded ratio. But then the massive share gain opportunity is sitting in gold-intensive markets. In markets, in regional markets, in smaller towns, in more traditional markets. Even wedding is largely dominated by gold. So in a way, if we have to continue the market share journey, there is going to be an aggressive growth in gold as well. I must also share here that in the last 5 years, maybe due to the gold prices, gold coin and bullion has grown at a very aggressive rate as well. In fact, almost 2x of the average rate of the growth of the brand. And that indicates a customer reality of how much interested they are in gold thanks to the gold prices. Gold prices have more than doubled in the last 5 years. As a portfolio between Tanishq, CaratLane and Mia, many questions keep coming up saying, why do you need so many different plays? And, by some of you and even in the market. I must share here that a large part of Tanishq studded comes in the sub 200,000 and sub 100,000 in terms of sheer number of buyers. In fact, Tanishq has been the pioneer in democratizing diamonds in this country. So naturally, we have a huge customer base there. But when you put all of these three brands together, because they appeal to different mindset and different product languages and a different approach, between us, we are able to dominate that segment. We are seeing very healthy double-digit buyer growths there, and that augurs well for us because it builds the funnel on the basis on which you can migrate customers towards high value. So this funnel is very critical. Pretty much like the core that I talked about in the previous slide. The core is very important. Sometimes we forget that while we are strong in what we are, 41% of our business comes from core. So it's very critical that we keep that nurtured and nourished well so that we are able to create karma for the future. Inventory. So many investments have happened in the last 2-3 years. Some investments in inventory because that's what's helped us grow, whether it's in solitaires, high value studded, wedding, regional markets. And in all of these, the turn gets diluted because the turn is not as much as in the other categories. So therefore, you will find some inventory related, but we've been able to manage capital employed through a smart combination of gold sourcing and bullion selling, etc., from our exchange gold. We've also invested a lot in growth, whether it is marketing, whether it is gold rate and pricing, whether it is customer offers, whether it's, and as you go regional, you need to be much more competitive. Certainly, let's say when we went into Tamil Nadu, we needed to ensure that we play a reasonably competitive game when it comes to making charges and gold rates. Gold exchange itself has been an important driver, and certainly these come at a cost. So there is a cost to investing in growth. There is also a cost to investing in capability building. With competitive intensity rising, we need to ensure we keep upping the game, be it on design, development, manufacturing. We've in fact added new product development centers. We've added stone sourcing capability. We have expanded the size of some of our manufacturing units as well as stone sourcing offices. We have put up labs. We have invested in ensuring that there is no contamination of naturals and LGDs across the ecosystem. Huge amounts of investments have gone there. We've done a lot of work on material innovation. With rising gold prices, we know that it's important to solve for the customer's price point requirement, therefore lightest weight jewelry, which requires product engineering on the one side, through a smart combination of component making, lightening, making hollow tubes, hollow bangles, reducing the quantum of gold in the overall studded product material composition, as well as in terms of coming out with a new hard alloy, which enables us to create thinner gauge, lighter weight jewelry, but yet, giving you the right quality and functional quality and aesthetic quality. A lot of work is also going on in terms of talent and talent infusion, especially not just on the front line, but also, right through the value chain in bringing in new capability. We have worked with many consultants in stone setting. We are working with a reputed player in high value product development. So all of that requires us to keep upping the game, besides the many other investments which are very visible to us. This is what the spread looks like today. And the opportunity is huge. There are about 54 or 57 towns which are the mini metros and the tier 1. But there are 220 odd or 215 odd towns which are in the sub 10 lakh. Venkat talked about the huge opportunity. Today, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 and below 1 lakh population towns also, including, from 10 lakh below to 1 lakh population towns, these contribute to about 30% of our top line. The CAGR obviously in this area has been much higher than the average. I think we've grown at about a 25% CAGR. There are towns, while Venkat threw some at you, I'm going to read a few more. Habra in West Bengal, Bhimavaram, Navanshar, Udupi, Eluru, Karimnagar, Madhubani, Katihar, Munger, Buxar, Gobichettipalayam, Purnia, Korba, Khanna, Bhilwara, Malda, and the list can go on and on. Small town opportunity is huge. We also see a lot of affinity. People are wanting the Tanishq brand. We see a lot of desire in these towns because digitally connected customers are there. And more importantly, we see a lot of loyalty because those markets are genuinely underserved. People have not seen that kind of customer service, professionalism, transparency in policies. So the opportunity there is very high. If people were going once a year to buy products from the next biggest town, now they can come 2 or 3 times in the year. So, the entire ecosystem develops because after us comes also other big organized competition and everybody invests and suddenly jewelry category becomes more visible. So it's a very positive thing and we are very excited about this. A few glimpses of the retail transformation program that has been going on, which many of you may not be aware of, but actually pictures speak more than what I can say. This is a store in Jaipur on MI Road, which is a traditional market. It has a different jali, a pink jali. You can see that the store is drawing inspiration from local crafts and the local architecture, the jharokhas out there. It's truly beautiful if you ever get a chance to go. Our Dickinson Road store has been one of our oldest stores. It was only on the ground floor. Now it's got 2 levels and I think we could take the 3rd and the 4th level if we could get it, but it's not easy to get it. This is a store in Baroda. It looks like a palace and it's a second store in Baroda and it's outstanding. It hit the first year itself 100 crore plus. Bhubaneswar, a recent launch in Chandrasekharpur. This store has taken the breath away. Our regional business head from the east was sharing that many of the associates are saying, sir, wo Bhubaneswar, Chandrasekharpur jaisa store banana hai. And some very small towns. They are very excited about it. And again, you can see the infusion of local art and craft. These stores are not just bigger. On an average, these 90 stores which I'm talking about have grown about 40 to 50% in the store size. Average store size has gone up from about 4,000 to 6,000. Some stores have gone up 3x and 4x as well. So the capacity has gone up, our ability to deal with peak day sales. So typically, you know, on a DT, Dhanteras or an Akshaya Tritiya, we might be dealing with 1 to 1.5 lakh customers in a day across the chain. And peak periods and peak period action is there. So managing capacities is also important besides the impact. And the fact that each of these stores is so big, it gives us an opportunity to create a wedding zone, a high value zone, an everyday zone, so that we are able to segment customer needs, a karigar, very nice, respectable karigar area. So a lot of things which, a private viewing room, a baby care room, and so many other things that are very essential for running these stores, a customer event room as well. This is in Pandri, Raipur. I think I had shown a pic of this last time. This is one of our latest ones in Pondi Bazaar. By the way, this is about less than a kilometer or so away from Usman Road, which is across, which is also a huge store, and this is a huge store. And very interestingly, both stores are doing well. Now, you know, we thought there's going to be some give and take between them, but both stores continue to do. And this one is very, very new. It's got a new format as well. But beyond the engines of growth and some of the things that I've shown you, there are some interesting competitive advantages that I wanted to share. I had shared a little bit about the brand narrative last year, 2 years ago, last time. I will share a little bit more. The ones in blue, I'm going to cover a little bit more, so I'm not going to spend time right now. I'll talk about them during the slides. But there's a large piece around people and partnering. I think Venkat brought it alive very, very well. And I think what matters is how authentic we are with our customers, with our partners, with the frontline staff, with the Karigar community. What wonderful work that we've done in the past, reinforced very strongly during COVID. I don't know, I'll repeat it again here, that more than 1 million customers were reached out on empathy calls by our RSOs during those 2 months of lockdown. There were people who had created a spreadsheet of doctors with specializations. There was all kinds of work that happened. Even with our Karigars, we have these total Karigar employee engagement that we do with our vendor partner Karigars. There's an ecosystem of about 14,000 Karigars and an ecosystem of 10,000 frontline staff. So as a wholesome organization, I think it's the right thing we do. We do it because we think it's the right thing to do. But I think the benefit of that we get is, you know, the blessings of all these 25,000 people and so many other wonderful people. Our customers also, I'm sure, who get to know about what we do, or who, even if we don't, I think somewhere the goodness spreads. You know, and I don't think I can share better than what this book should be able to tell you. I have the privilege of sharing Venkat. Venkat has authored this book on the Tanish story. It has got amazing anecdotes. Last night he told me to read one chapter before I do the presentation. I landed up reading the rest of the book from that particular chapter, and that was at some 12:30 or 1 in the night. It brings alive the culture. The anecdotes actually bring alive the reality, and I can't really do justice to this. I think I recommend all of you to pick up this book. So, you know, I think the other piece which is very important is this whole focus on a wholesome value chain. In the previous presentation, we had covered some elements of that, so I'm not covering it here again. But just to give you an update, we now are net water positive in Hosur because we've invested in 1.4 crore liter rainwater harvesting sumps inside the factory. We have a Miyawaki forest of 6,000 square feet inside the Hosur plant. We are solar. We have invested in huge amount of solar power. So entire Tamil Nadu related grid that we have invested in is going to cover up. So actually, we are moving towards a very, very sustainable thing besides all the wonderful things that Venkat spoke about. And yes, the 4P framework, the Karigar Connect, and the entire transformation. I think more than 95% of our partners today have moved from cottage to basic to standard, and some are in the world-class space. So that journey has been extremely satisfying, and we are creating another very interesting exercise in Midnapur, which is where a lot of our karigars come from, and we are creating a world-class capability building center in Midnapur and a huge manufacturing setup. It started small. It started during COVID time when we said work from home or work close to home. Why should it be only for all of us? Why not karigars? So it's a seed that we planted today. Hopefully it will become a Miyawaki forest in the future. This is a little bit about the brand narrative. I think most women, when they see some of our campaign, they say, Tanishq gets me.
इनसे मिलिए, she's a superwoman.
Yeah, Raji, the client meeting is at 3 o'clock. Have you uploaded the data? No. Bye. Bye.
बाएं हाथ से ऑफिस चलाती हैं और दाएं हाथ से घर. ना वो अपनी प्रेजेंटेशन भूलती है, ना रिश्तेदारों के प्रेजेंट्स.
52nd birthday. नहीं 24 का पैक नहीं, 12
दिन के 24 घंटों में वो 30 घंटे का काम कर जाती है.
सब कर लेते हैं.
उसके असिस्टेंट को घर के रोल पे क्या
और दूसरों को हमेशा खुद से पहले रखती हैं. ओह सॉरी. ना वो थकती है, ना वो रुकती है. सब कर लेती है. हर मोमेंट में बस शाइन करती रहती है. I mean, she's like a...
बस भी करो.
क्या हुआ?
सांस तो ले लो.
पर तुम तो सुपर वुमन हो.
पर ह्यूमन भी तो हो ना. थकती हूँ, रुकती हूँ.
तनु बेटा, आगे.
हाँ. हारती भी हूँ. ह्यूमन हूँ.
Celebrating the woman in her real self, in the way in which only Tanishq can get her, is something that we feel connects the many millions who really aspire for Tanishq and who love Tanishq. We spoke last time also about the way we go about connecting with our customers. Venkat spoke a little bit about it this time as well. And I showed you the many festivals and the many events that we celebrate. We celebrate birthdays and anniversaries. We celebrate anniversaries and birthdays at people's homes. Some of our older customers say our children may have forgotten our birthday, but Tanishq does not forget. And it's a huge number that we actually do it. It's part of a building block exercise in our entire activity. I want to share with you an illustration of how we went about Akshaya Tritiya this year. And we do this pretty much for most of our festivals. So first of all, the preparation starts a month and a half before, when we do cascades with our business partners and associates, with the entire field team. We talk about how much to plan for, how to plan, how will we reach out to so many customers. The customer reach out starts 3 to 4 weeks before the Akshaya Tritiya offer period starts. We reached out this year, for example, to 1.4 lakh individual customer homes by each of our store staff across the network with surprise gifts. In the West, I was told that they gave a nice hamper of Alfonso, well-chosen Alfonso mangoes as a hamper, which just delighted the customer. I mean, it's such a small thing, but it touches their heart. Many interesting. Every different store does it with some guidance. And this is something which really, sometimes customers come back. I believe in a recent event we held in Indore, we had about 1,000 customers who attended a massive event, and 2 of them actually came with gifts for us, saying, हर वक्त आप ही gift देते हो, आज हम भी आपके लिए लाए हैं. Some of our customers have taken our store staff for movies. Some of them come to just have a cup of coffee. The day of Akshaya Tritiya, this time the Muhurat was from 6, it was actually from 5 a.m., but we started our stores at 6:30. We had informed everybody. There was lamp lighting, there was a puja that was created. In fact, lamp lighting, the Kuttuvalakam, which is here, for some of you may not know, in many of our south stores, there is a lamp lighting every evening and customers come and light the lamp. When we inaugurate a store, we first get the customers to light the lamp, then the store staff light the lamp, then the regional office and corporate office and the chief guest lights the lamp. Because we believe we are all there to serve the end customer. The kind of planning that goes in terms of how to manage these customers on a day, the hospitality, the charts that get served, it's a festival. There are children running around. It's crazy, it's chaotic, it's worth visiting some of these markets during Akshaya Tritiya or Dhanteras, but this is something which, you know, and that night went on till 2 a.m. for many people and the store team fully energized and excited. We are a lot about actually design, craftsmanship and engineering. A lot of the engineering we may not get to see, but it's lots of stuff flowing in. Learning from watches, learning from Teal, learning from the entire engineering company we are. But here I'll just showcase a little bit of 2 collections. One was the previous Diwali collection, 22 Diwali, which was Alekhya, which was about enameling. It was inspired by Pichwai and miniature paintings. A lot of enamel work, craftsmanship from Gujarat, Jaipur. We also had work done in Kolkata. So actually 3-4 different workmanship and craftsmanship came together in the same collection and sometimes in the same product to create something unique. Similarly, we had launched a Chawla collection in that same year, and for Tamil Nadu in collaboration with a partner where we revived Chawla symbolism. We did many such collections. We did a temple-inspired collection for Orissa, etc. But this is just to share with you how different karigaris from different parts of the country, along with engineering and craftsmanship coming together to build a superlative design. This is something which we launched during this Diwali, that is 23, the Dharohar collection. Both these collections, by the way, fabulously received. We were not sure whether people want to go back to heritage. It was inspired by ornaments and intricate crafted jewels and other, products or let's say items of the past. But the way it got interpreted into the jewelry and the kind of karigari, if I'll read out to this, we went to south for Nakashi work, north for Kundan inlay, carved stones and chitrai, west for Badroom and Chandrasi, and east for delicate filigree and stamp work. All of this coming together to create a truly magical, impactful collection. So design, craftsmanship, product development and engineering all coming together. But quickly coming to the business end of things, so those are some of the softer things that we are good at beyond the engines of growth that you all are all familiar with. Lots of forces. Venkat covered very well all the pieces that are really working well for India. There is the premiumization. Suparna also covered about women and self-expression, as well as the premiumization piece. There is volatility in gold. There is a fluctuating consumer sentiment. There has been volatility in pricing even on diamonds. All of that results in demand volatility for sure. The moment gold prices go up suddenly or they suddenly come down, or there's fence sitting that happens. But once the new normal gets established, then customers come back in. The same thing we noticed in the case of solitaires last year. And we've had to take some corrective actions. We are working towards it. Again, it's been a very uncertain period of time. Also, it results in margin pressure. I'll cover a little bit more about the margin pressure, but certainly when gold prices go up, it has a multiple impact on margin, and we will cover a little bit further. Competitive intensity has been increasing and quite aggressive. I've tried to bucket them. There are segmented play. There is mainstream players, national chains, mainstream players, regional chains. key independents, there are about 50 to 60 different players whom we are tracking all the time across many markets, across 50, 60, 70 towns. And there is also emerging fine jewelry players who are there, including some emerging LGD players which have come in recently. Many new players expected. We've heard a little bit about some of them. And the existing players are getting well funded, so they are all expanding significantly. They have access to capital. Many of the independents are becoming organized. Some of them are expanding into 2 or 3 stores in the same city or adjoining cities and doing a good job. They actually own that customer, which is a really high value customer, 10 lakh plus, 5 lakh plus. A lot of flexibility, a lot of deep connect that they have within those customers. And everybody is sharply defending their turf, whether it's on gold prices, whether it's on making charges, whether it's on pricing overall. Many players also focusing a lot on studded, which is good, because when many players make noise about studded, that category will grow, and therefore we should naturally also gain besides whatever work we do. Amidst all this, our portfolio is there. I think we are well covered on all aspects of the portfolio, and therefore, we are still confident and we will continue to grow share. Despite this competitive intensity, to have grown share from 4.5% to 8%, actually 8.5, 8.6%, including CaratLane, if I were to include that, over the last 5 years, gives us the confidence that we should be able to progress forward. Because the India opportunity is big, I think my figure there might be incorrect. I think it's 2,500 USD I read recently. You guys will know better. We are 8%, but 8.6 if I include CaratLane of a 500 to 525,000 crore market. Premiumization and aspiration, not just in the top towns, but in many, many towns of India growing. There are 500 middle India towns. There used to be about 400 middle India towns about a decade ago when AC Nielsen came out with their findings, 1 lakh to 10 lakh population towns. Today there are 500. We are present in 180 of those. We are present in about 31 sub 1 lakh population towns, many of them feeder markets. And of course, there is a young and modern segment which is waiting to self-express. And there's regional markets where our market shares are still much lower than the average. Very happy to report that in a market like Chennai, where we would have been less than 2% Venkat some years back, today it is 8% plus. And it's come to the national average. And very interestingly, in a market like that, while we started with gold, we have pumped up the studded play in the recent past. So once you acquire the customer, you can migrate them upwards. And therefore, it's important that we keep the longer term horizon in play and not get carried away by 1 month, 1 quarter, or 1 year. And that's what we are focused on. So therefore, the implications for us is continue to prioritize top line growth. There is huge headroom in the market. We have a strong portfolio play, drive studded in a big way using this portfolio play, and including acquiring customers at the top of the funnel. And with the competitive intensity that we are seeing, we must, widen the moat, we must differentiate, we must build new capabilities. And that will require investment, because that's what will keep us ahead of the curve. As opposed to, getting saddled and stuck by what competition is doing, we should keep moving the bar ahead. So, our ambition, and I'm saying this is an ambition, not necessarily a guidance, but you can take it for whatever it's worth. This is what we are chasing. If we have to get to the last time's commitment of 2.5x on FY22 to FY27, given the growths that we've seen in the first couple of years, our asking rate is only 15% CAGR. And therefore, that's the floor in our mind. Our ambition is 20%. Our aspiration is 20%. Therefore, we've said a 15 to 20% CAGR is somewhere, if we are, if everything works well for us, if we are lucky, if all the forces play out the way it is, why not 20%? And certainly, we are very, very confident that we will not go below the 15%. And that's the logic for this 15 to 20%. We serve across and this is across the portfolio, we serve around 3.8 million customers last year. We are hoping to, in a given year, the customer base is much larger. This is the number of people who buy from us every year. We hope to be serving 6 million buyers by FY27. We are hoping that the market share, combined market share of our portfolio from 8.6% should land in the early double digits. And therefore, we think that perhaps the market maybe, it could be anything between around the 700,000 crore mark or something plus or minus that. I would say 700 to 750. There are various estimates, we really don't know. And in terms of sheer presence, we should be in 300 to 330 towns, because this is a moving target. Now, this is a figure that we can say for 2 years at a time. But over years, even every 2 years, there are the middle India towns which get ready for what we believe is for Tanishq, keeps moving. So it's 300 plus. It could be 300, it could be 320. We are saying right now, confident of 100 more Tanishq stores in the next few years. It may be more, depending on how it goes. Certainly 150 plus in Mia and more in Carrot Lane. I'll cover that very shortly. So this is our ambition, and with the blessings from all the good forces in the world, hopefully we should get there. A quick look at what each brand is looking at in terms of different things, not necessarily what we already do well. We've been doing a lot of work on modern customers, both in gold as well as studded. We think modern gold is a good opportunity, lightweight, sub 100,000, a lot of work going on there. The opportunity can only increase. Self-expression, youth, modern segments, lightweights. We believe we should work a lot more on being a diamond destination for the high-value studded, whether it is for classic, fashion, collectibles, wearables, flamboyance. ROR stands for rarest of the rare. We have introduced a property called Ethereal Wonders. It's branded Ethereal Wonders, where we bring rare gemstones and rare diamonds, put it in the form of an exhibition, invite some of the top customers we have and some customers whom we don't have. And we invite them into a red carpet kind of an event, an exhibition over 3-4 days, and we've seen terrific response. Some of the ticket values there are sitting in crores. They're really rare, and it's in partnership with some of our partners who are stone suppliers, etc. So very interesting. The picture here, in a way, gives you a sense of one of them, but there are many others. If some of you would like to be party to that and are interested, please let us know. We'll be very happy to call you there. We've done a lot of work on solitaires. We have grown very well on solitaires over the last 3-4 years. The last 6 months have been a little sticky because of the international prices of solitaires having corrected downwards, partly due to international economic stress, partly due to China not seeing anything great and so many other things happening there, and partly due to the supply of roughs and polished stones being well in excess of the demand. The bullwhip effect, they didn't catch up with understanding, how much should we be supplying, and after that there has been some corrective. So the price has stabilized. It may remain as to where it is, it may remain a little soft. It may pick up only when international markets revive, and especially China is a big one. US is the other one, Europe, and many other places. But we have worked on 2 lines. We have a Celeste line, which is focused on nano-faceting, and it's called the First Light. It's in partnership. It is the first ever. Visibly, you can see the brilliance of the product. We've had some struggle on the supply chain. Hopefully, this year onwards, it should crack, and that should really take us up there. We also have some special cuts for the classic line, and therefore, a lot of excitement in this, despite what some of you might be hearing in the market. Wedding and regional markets continue to be big. We focus on about 16 to 18 communities, but we've taken few communities at a point in time, focus on them. What we've also done now is increase the number of events and functions that women celebrate. It has truly become a big fat Indian wedding. We've seen it like how there is a Bollywood effect which is kind of creating this big fat Indian wedding across. In Chennai proper, you see enough Sangeet ceremonies. So how can we get our stores and store staff to target different customer segments for different events, different kinds of products? from engagement to wedding, many events to first anniversary. That's a whole journey that work is on. That's Nayantara, by the way, who's a rock star for the South. A very quick look at Mia. Mia is for the star in you, and some of you might have caught the Rakul Preet ad which was there. I'm not going to spend time here, but she's been our brand ambassador, and this was the collection which was launched in Diwali. Growing in retail visibility and footprint, this is our flagship store in CP, 1600 square feet. We have few 1500 plus square foot stores, but many of them now 1000 square feet. And earlier there was some 500 to 700 square feet, so we are upgrading that as well. About 180 EBOs in 77 towns now, and growing fast, including places like Bilaspur, Vijayawada, Brahmapur, and many other places. The Middle India story continues there as well. It is a young, restless, and fashion-forward brand, sharply focused on Gen Z, Gen Y. The product language is very sharp, very specific. It's all about fashion, style, self-expression, minimal, lot of 14 karat, 80% is studded, and we have a presence in about overall 450 odd POS, including 280 odd Tanishq stores and 180 EBOs. Read that last POS as EBOs. Our ambition is to serve 1 million customers by FY27, and that's about 2.2x to 2.5x. It's an aspirational number. It doesn't add up so easily, but yes, 1 million customers is what we want to serve. We should be present in about 300 to 350 EBOs or standalone Mia stores, and the balance Tanishq stores, so 750 POS across 150 towns. And certainly we are expecting to double the turnover in the next 3 years compared to FY23. So, FY24, last year's turnover. A very quick look at Zoya, our own, India's truly own luxe brand. The pillars have been around exquisite craftsmanship, patented cuts, rare stones, bespoke products. We have an entire bespoke service where individual customers are involved in a bespoke creation. Some of it can take 8 months, some of them a year, and they are involved in the creation of the product at every stage, including a visit to the factory and the craftsmanship interaction as well. Personalized experiences, I'll touch upon that. Luxury is expected to explode in India. I mean, everybody's talking about it. There are many numbers of how UHNIs and HNIs are there, and so many brands are excited. The luxury brands are here in a big way. Our ambition is to grow revenue 2.5x in 3 years. By the way, it has grown from about 60 odd crores to close to 300 crores in the last 4.5 years or so, 5 years or so. And I think, it can. We are not that worried about the crores it does as much as the excellence and the pinnacle of craftsmanship that this brand stands for and the exclusivity it creates. Not too many luxury brands in India do more than 100 crores. Even some of the older luxury brands which were there and which are no longer there in jewelry used to do less than 100 crores in India. A lot of it was also being exported. We have moved from 3 to 8 boutiques. In fact, as we speak, there are 11 boutiques. We have opened 3, some spilled over from the previous year. We are hoping to get to 15 by this year and maybe 20. We are also present in about 8 galleries in some select Tanishq stores. And there is international presence as a gallery in at least 3 out of the 4 stores, if not more. In the US, we are seeing a lot of excitement and traction around this. So who knows, one of these days you might find a Zoya store in some market in the US. This is a Linking Road. Many of you might not have even seen it, but it really stands out. It's a beautiful store. It's a private room inside most of our Zoya stores. The one in Taj Mahal Palace, maybe some of you all have been there. It is doing very well. We have now opened one in Brady House, very close to, behind Bombay House, the Starbucks and Sabyasachi lane that is there. That's one of the new ones which have just opened. There's one come up in Aund. This is the one in Jubilee Hills. It stands out. And somebody asked me, do you guys actually make money on this store? And we said, yeah, we do. We have we are on the path to make money. It's a beautiful store on Jubilee Hills. So I think the address, the impact, and the storytelling inside the store is very critical, besides the product itself being of a superlative category. What many people don't know is the personalized, curated experiences that we are able to do. Last year, 340, from concerts to culinary to sporting. We have a concierge service which we take great pride in for international events. I think that whole world of luxury is about really customizing the experience as much as the product and you know, the in-store experience as well. And this is something that we have now built a terrific competitive advantage on. A quick look on the CaratLane. I'm covering it because we need to cover a lot of ground in these 45 minutes, and I'm going to take 10 minutes, a little bit more. We are in the business of enabling people to express their emotion, and CaratLane has really grown from strength to strength. The brand is really bustling with energy. Terrific growth, a blistering top-line growth, 60% in 3 years CAGR and a 47% in the last 5 years. This is the NSV figures. Consumer price terms, it will be around 3,400 crores. It is clearly a born digital, omni, full-service brand. You're talking about online orders, we are talking about try-at-home, store visits, feeding leads. 100% of the customer effort is digital. 90% of it might reflect in the store in terms of sale, but it's a completely joint closure omni. CaratLane Live is something which is terrific, where you can engage in live video calls. The entire impulse of the organization and the entire huge back-end team there is to get a human interaction going. And we've learned from that even in Tanishq. That's exactly what we've done. And this is the app and how it looks. It's a constant improvement. I think you have several million app users and several lakh, almost a million. Even in Tanishq, by the way, there's about 6 lakh monthly active users on the app. So a lot of learning from each other and a lot of action on this side. Retail has been terrific. We have 272 stores in more than 100 cities, and there's an opportunity to add another 100 cities and 150 stores within the next 3 years. And that doesn't end it there. I'm sure Middle India will keep growing. The opportunity is huge. We don't just look at same store growth, but we look at catchment growth, as the CaratLane team has educated me from time to time. And sometimes the same store growth may be in single digits, but the catchment zip code level kind of definition of catchment growth last year, for example, was 22% and a total growth of 34%. So CaratLane is doing things differently, and we are very proud of the way they're doing it. But it has also become a formidable retail force. It is visible, it's present, it's like how, across these many, and with every new set of stores, I think there's an evolving thing. This is a signature store at Indiranagar, which the team is very, very proud of. We are all very proud of it. Amazing, this beautiful every day, the kind of VM that's inside the stores. I think if you all have not had a chance to visit some of the newer CaratLane stores, you will see some terrific work there. There's also learning. While CaratLane has learned a lot from the physical retail from Titan, but Titan has also got something to learn from CaratLane. So we're very proud of the kind of work. And the customer is at the center of it, solving her needs and ensuring that she is constantly delighted is a very important piece. And I think that's the science that the team has brought in. These are some of the iconic collections. You'll find in every CaratLane store about 4 or 5 iconic collections in windows. These are some of them. These are classics. These are beautiful. These are identity products. Some great work on this as well. Customer NPS has been climbing, and there's something called a repeat rate, which the team measures in terms of the total number of customers we have as a customer base. On a 1.5 million, the repeat rate is 17. So getting more and more people to come more often through the app and otherwise is a perennial drive. These NPS scores are now comparable to Tanishq, 85, 88%. So we are truly best in class in this piece. There is opportunities, not just in towns, but in products, and we are talking about strengthening the 50,000 plus space. There's a lot of work that's gone in the sub 20,000, the 20 to 50,000, and certain categories like Mangal Sutras and earrings and finger rings. But I think there's opportunity sitting even in the 50,000 to 100,000 space and even beyond. A very quick look at an interesting revolutionary tech that enables video messages in the jewelry.
Happy anniversary, Doodlebug. 5 years, can you believe it? But Doodle, झगड़े कम नहीं हो रहे, क्योंकि प्यार भी तो कम नहीं हो रहा. तो इस बार अगर गलती तुम्हारी भी हो, तो भी आई एम सॉरी. आफ्टर ऑल तुम्हारे साथ सिर्फ 5th नहीं, 50th भी मनाना है. I love you, Doodlebug.
खुल के करो एक्सप्रेस with a heartfelt video embedded in your Carrot Lane ring forever with Carrot Lane postcards.
There are a lot more applications for this. This was just an introduction. I think this is going to be a great tech innovation, which a lot of work is going on in the background. We'll come back to you with more updates in the future. But the ambition is to certainly double the customer base. Clearly, there's an opportunity to hit 400 plus, 425 plus stores and 200 plus towns within the next 3 years. And an exciting journey on international, which Dini will probably cover a little bit. But the first one coming up soon, and then thereafter, mostly in North America, and thereafter many other markets, I'm sure. I think somebody was saying, everybody's thinking about lab grown. I hope you're going to cover something on lab grown. I'm going to share with you what we have learnt. Okay, we recognize this as an important development in the industry. We recognize that we have to be mindful of it. There's something going on in one of the biggest markets in the world, in the US. So what's the learning from the US market? The US market actually is now seen a good 50% of their bridal segment, which is the center stone big rock engagement ring, which is a very big piece, has got in volume terms shifted from natural to lab grown. But that is where the impact has happened, and that is a very large part of the US emotion and the US rituals of buying jewelry, and that is bought whenever they get married. They may get married multiple times, but nevertheless, that's when they... But the rest of the time, they don't really buy that. They buy a lot of other adornment stuff, and there I think lab grown has yet to kind of catch up. Some impact is there. When this journey started in the US, a lot of supply was not there. Now the supply has gone crazy. I think every diamond tear or most diamond tears in India have invested. China has done something. CVD technology is on. HPHT is on. CVD can do smaller diamonds also, up to 1 carat. HPHT can do bigger diamonds also. Earlier it was kind of segregated. Supply scenario has gone bonkers. Consequently, this is how the wholesale price has come down. In fact, it's come down to below $100 per carat. So this graph is not fully accurate. $100 a carat is the wholesale price of the lab grown today. That has created huge impact on jewelers in the US. The Signet Group as well as several other players have seen average order value shrinking. So what they jumped into and then suddenly realized, oops, their revenue has taken a hit. So while, and volumes, penetration has not necessarily gone up. It's already a penetrated, and therefore there is a lot of price instability. A lot of people have lost money. Jewelers have lost money. Intermediaries have lost big time. Now the entire business is on memo or consignment. Wholesale prices have collapsed, but retail prices have not come. They've also come down from maybe $3,000-4,000 to $1,500 a carat. But imagine still between 100 to 1,500. Every new player who comes will come in and discount. We have heard Walmart might come at $400 a carat. Anything is possible. That whole market will get commoditized as and when whatever happens. In India, the players have emerged after they realized US mein kuch धंधा हो नहीं रहा है, let us do something here. And many of these people have started supplying. And here, therefore, the pricing is a little more reasonable. It is not in that $1,500. It's maybe about $1,000 a carat. So there is money, but every new player that comes is going to keep bringing it down. So there are two impacts on this. One is, how do you make money in this category? Will it necessarily increase the penetration of diamonds in the country? India and US is not going to behave in the same way. There is a stored value concept in India, not there in the US, to a large extent not there, and to a large extent here. Secondly, in India, adornment is the big play, not the center stone engagement ring. For those who buy solitaires, they want value, also something that will remain with the next generation. In the smaller diamonds, the cost economics, unit cost, still not working out as effectively. But tech product, it can keep coming down. By the way, this is not the bottom. We have heard China might even automate the cutting and polishing of these small diamonds, in which case that $100 can become $50. Last year, we heard of Rakhis with lab-grown diamonds. See, the moment, and many fashion brands are looking at this, whether it is LVMH, whether it is Pandora, whether it is Swarovski, and many others. I'm sure you'll find it on Prada bags, you'll find it. So how is this category going to evolve, and will it remain in the space of precious jewelry, or will there be two segments? $1,000,000 questions. All of you are more intelligent than we are, and therefore we are observing where this is going. What we've learned from the US, let's not just jump into it for the heck of it. There is no immediate benefit of early mover advantage. Okay, so look at what's happening, understand where it's going. Be clear that segments which will remain, Tiffany, Bulgari, Cartier are not going to touch. Many other mainstream jewelers have touched and they have fallen into deep trouble. So what is the game to be played, if at all it has to be played, and where will this category go is something which is unclear. We are observing, we are in touch with industry, we are trying to learn. You know, our entire activity is to learn. There is a lot of activity hotting up in India. There are 30, 40 players. They're putting up stores. Many of them struggling, some of them managing. But will the margin remain? Will it get squeezed? And then how the unit economics work? So it's a whole world out there. I can't be more knowledgeable than this, but this is what we are observing and learning, and therefore we are also saying, observe, understand, learn, think, figure out if and when we should do something. We will decide. We'll come back to you when we have. To recap, this is the aspiration, and you know, while the revenue growth is there, there's a question on everybody's mind. Margin ka kya hai? Time's up, they're telling me. Last slide. So thank you for giving me those 10 minutes extra to cover some more ground. Gold price escalation has three big impacts. Firstly, when prices go up, I'm not talking about demand, I'm talking only about margin now. There is gold rate wars which will happen. AMC as a percentage of, you know, the customer says, why are you charging me so much for the same design? You know, gold rate has increased, but then what? So there's pressure, there's a voice from the customer as well. The mix itself can change. Customers may decide to downgrade on the kind of products they pick up in gold. In studded, there's a weighted average impact of the contribution of diamonds and gold in the total product composition. There's diamond, there is making, and there is gold. Now the margins are better in the first two, and in gold the margins are lower. So the moment the gold rate goes up, the net effect of that is a dilution in the percentage of the studded GC. And that, when it goes up at this level, it becomes very difficult to claw back. We have to do a lot of actions. In fact, a lot of work. Internally, we call it a GC Max project, and we've done it in the past, 3 years ago. We have kicked that in already, but it does take time to climb back. And the kind of gold price increase we have seen, and we are continuing to see in the geopolitical uncertainties, in the central banks buying gold, we are unsure if the gold price is likely to correct dramatically downwards. It's likely to remain range bound and could also go up. So therefore, this is an ongoing activity for us, be it product mix, be it material innovation, therefore enables product and design re-engineering, sourcing efficiencies in terms of stone buying, pricing, opportunities to look at where we can look at dispersion, and clearly tightening up operating efficiencies while investing for growth. So it is a complex piece to ensure that we claw back, but I think we owe it to ourselves and to all the stakeholders that can we get EBIT margins to, and this is not a quarter EBIT margin, I want to clarify, it is a annualized one, and therefore we are seeing this, currently there is volatility, and therefore, you know, you can, volatility may be a strong word, as Ashok corrects me, it may be fluctuation. There will be fluctuation in the EBIT margin, but on an annualized basis, this is where we think we want to anchor all of our expectations. We need to continue to grow. The headroom for growth is there. We need to improve capability and differentiate, and therefore we will have to invest to ensure that that opportunity to get to that double-digit market share is not lost. A last piece, I'm leaving it for you.
मैं पिछले 18 साल से तनिष्क से जुड़ी हुई हूँ.
I have been associated with Tanishq for more than 13-14 years now.
मैं पिछले 15 वर्षों से तनिष्क से जुड़ा हुआ हूँ. शायद मैंने जब शुरू किया था, मैं सोचता हूँ कि मैं यंगेस्ट कस्टमर था तनिष्क का.
सेटिस्फेक्शन मिलता है और एक बहुत बड़ा जो विश्वास है कि जो भी मैंने खरीदा है वो अच्छा ही है, उसमें कुछ भी खराबी निकलने वाली नहीं है.
So that's Tanishq for me. That I don't have to think too much. I just have to enter the store and I'll find what I'm looking for.
तनिष्क पे जब भी हम आए, यहाँ पर हमें बिल्कुल घर जैसा वातावरण मिला. यहाँ के जितने भी स्टाफ मेंबर्स हैं, सब ने हमें घर जैसा प्रेम दिया और कभी भी हमें किसी भी चीज़ में कोई कमी नहीं लगी.
सारे स्टाफ का जो एक फैमिली वाला जो व्यवहार है ना, उससे लगता है कि बस कहीं और नहीं जाना है. साथ में कोई नहीं आया है तो वो हमारे फ्रेंड्स बन जाते हैं, वो हमें हेल्प करते हैं.
मेरे 3 जनरेशन्स की शॉपिंग मैंने यहीं से करी है. इसका कारण ये है कि यहाँ के लोग बहुत अच्छे हैं, फैमिली लगती है.
जो मेरा तनिष्क के साथ रिलेशनशिप है, मतलब मैं बोलता हूँ कि 24 कैरेट सोने की तरह खरा है. मतलब ऐसा रिलेशन मेरा और किसी ज्वेलर के साथ नहीं है कि मैं यहीं आना चाहूँगा हमेशा.
I just can't think of any other brand after Tanishq. To be very honest, for me it is Tanishq, Tanishq and Tanishq.